I appreciate this opportunity to talk on this subject to you, council, to staff, and to you, Mayor Ritzman. There was a homeless encampment behind my house. It's behind your house, in fact, as well. But it burned down. I think the people that were in it were okay, but it doesn't seem to have come back since it caught fire. But it's been there off and on for the 4 years that I've been here. And when someone earlier mentioned that this topic was the subject of discussion when there were 10 homeless people in Stratford 7 years ago, and some of you were on council then when that was being discussed, and here we are, and it's 5 times worse, and the message I'm receiving in the audience is that this council does not want to have a shelter. That having a shelter is not the preferred solution. The preferred solution is this piecemeal approach and maybe collaboration with the church, and maybe we'll make sure people aren't unhoused in the coldest of days, but we don't want to have a shelter here in Stratford. It seems to be the message. And I think, given that 7 years ago you had that same discussion and nothing happened and it's just gotten worse, there isn't more supportive housing, I think you got to bite the bullet, and we need a shelter here in Stratford. Now, maybe you plan it so that that shelter is not a permanent fixture, and you build it along with next Monday's meeting to talk about building affordable housing, which is affordable housing that's 4 or 5 years down the road. But what are you going to do in those 4 or 5 years until that affordable housing is built? And you're going to be asked to come up with tens of millions of dollars for affordable housing. Surely you can come up with $500,000 for a shelter. Now, I can see some eyebrows raised about, how do you get a shelter for $500,000? Talk to the town of Charlottetown, which put a 50-bed shelter in for exactly $500,000. Because they bought a used work camp from Alberta, from the oil sands. No longer needed because they got the mine built. It was in perfect good shape. It was transportable because it was all trailers. And they now have a 50-bed shelter downtown Charlotte. Where would you put it? If you could get such a thing. You could probably buy trailers at General Couch up in Ensel for the same amount if you wanted to put a bunch of tiny homes down. But where would you put it? Well, you've got this serviced facility that's a big pad of concrete called the Cooper site. And I hear some titters in the audience about that, but it's a place downtown that has a big flat piece of concrete and has services, has sewer, has water, has hydro. They need to be hooked up, but it's all there. You can't just shrug your shoulders and say, well, it's everybody else's problem. It's not.
That means
It's the problem. Unfortunately,
I can have time to cook after the ladies are gone.
Yeah.
because the feds have.
Whereas if you have something on, it's a bit of a rush.
Yeah.
So it falls to this council to do something about it. And I believe you need to have a shelter. Now, if the Rotary's not the acceptable place because of whatever, of not in their backyard, or it's too far away, okay, but you have to do something. You can't say, as you did 7 years ago, well, it's only, how many people? It was 10 then, 50 now, it's only 50, we'll just get by. It's not gonna get any better. You're still years away from building the kind of housing that will house these people. And the definition of what is affordable is shifting so much by both the province and the city that who knows whether what you build will be actually able to be used by the people that you're trying to house. It's gonna cost you $2.7 million to give every single one of those 50 people a room every night for a year. That's 5 times the cost of a shelter. if you use the Charlottetown example. It may be that there are other ways to do it, but you can't just say it's all our problem, or it's the other government's problem, or it's not. The buck is here because the people live here. And the responsibility, unfortunately, in Canada, ends up falling on the municipal councils. And the courts have ruled that people have a right to be housed. It's a basic Canadian human right. And so they tried in Waterloo to tear down those tiny houses, and were told by the courts they couldn't, because they were part of a human right. The tiny house solution may be what you need, but you have to have something. You can't just piecemeal this thing together. It's embarrassing living in a city where so many people are without a roof. And it's something that I want to get done. I want to help somehow. And I was really excited to see the churches come in and say, well, we're going to step up with you. There was no plan. There's no, well, we've got 50 beds for 365 days a year, and here's where they're going to be. But that's what you need to find. And maybe the churches can help you run a shelter. Maybe the churches can help you ease into a shelter. But as Jason said earlier, this can't go on. You can't continue to have, it's going to get worse. The economy is bad. The homelessness is going to get worse, and the numbers are going to get bigger. And putting it off until the Finnish example, putting it off until you have proper housing built, doesn't deal with today. Now, I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, that it would be nicer to spend that $2.7 million that you're going to spend on housing these people this year on affordable housing. But you're nowhere near that. There's no project in the works that would build 50 units that the people that don't have an income could live in. It's not there. But that's maybe the kind of thinking. I don't disagree with the thinking that we should be spending our money, our taxpayer dollars, on something that will solve the problem on a long-term basis. But to do that, you have to get past today as well. And I think getting past today may require that Stratford bite the bullet and actually have a shelter in the town. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor.
Next question.